more of is call reviews and convo threads. As you guys are having conversations, as you guys are taking calls, come in here and submit them afterwards. Ask one question around that call or conversation that you had. I guarantee it will help you going into the next one. Okay, so after you guys shared your areas of commitments in terms of what you did well over the past 3 quarters, what you want to commit to putting more energy towards in these next three, what's one new habit that you're committed to developing over these next 3 months to help your business? This habit should be around that area of improvement that you just mentioned. If anybody's having difficulty coming up with this or what this looks like, feel free to let me know in the chat. I can help clarify it. But one thing, rather than saying goals are great, talk about goals a lot, but at the end of the day, we can all say it's my goal to offer my first 20 calls by the end of the year, or my goal to have my first 5K month. Those are all targets for us to work towards. But if we can ingrain a habit today and say, hey, you know what, from today on going forward through the end of 2022, I'm committing to offering one call every time I'm in Messenger. That's a habit that we can confidently implement today and measure 3 months from now to see if we did that or we didn't. That one new habit will create much greater outcomes too. Okay, so it looks like we flipped a little bit. Some areas came back. We went from focus on improving in call offerings, improving in presence, to now it seems like a lot of the trends is consistency. Telling I'm serious to my workflow. Time blocking. Eunice, one thing that you can commit to on the topic of loom offers, I love that. I absolutely love that you pointed that out. So what can you do starting with a habit to help integrate this? 2 looms a week, 1 loom a week, at least 1 a week. Make one commitment, draw a line in the sand to yourself to make sure that you're following through with doing that one thing each week. For the remainder, it looks like a lot of these are on time blocking and consistency. So can everybody in the chat share a little bit more with me on this? What made you guys go from saying before the one area or skill that you're committing to putting more effort into? If we come back to this, Alan said putting more of him out there, growing more online presence, more content. James said more call offerings. Anna said more call offerings. Grove and Darren said similar as well. So what made you guys choose from going from that area of focus going into this quarter to the habit being around consistency and workflow? No right or wrong answer. I'm just curious. Who wants to let me know the thought process behind it? Okay, there we go. So it's good to see. Okay, so consistency leads to those efforts being accomplished. We want to offer more calls. So if we make the habit of being consistent, we'll get that done and offer more calls. But on the flip side, when we look at the word habit and this question as a whole, it's hard to make a habit of being consistent. I think the whole point of a habit is to create consistency in that thing. So if we want to be more active in Messenger and create consistency in Messenger, we can make a habit of spending 1 hour a day in Messenger at X time. If we want to make sure that if we know we're not offering enough calls right now to give ourselves opportunities to make sales, we can easily set and work on instilling a habit in ourselves to offer 1 call every time we spend 1 hour in Messenger. Catching up with the chat quickly here. All right, let's talk on this topic of procrastination, consistency, and showing up, because this seems to be across the board a little bit. So for you guys, what Anna mentioned some excuses that pop up when she wants to get into Messenger. Being transparent with me, what are some things that go on through your guys' head when you are, you want to do something that day, you want to get into Messenger and try to get one call offered that day? What usually gets said in your head to not do that thing?
Sorry, Blake, could you repeat that? What was the question?
Yeah, so we talked a lot about areas that we want to improve going into Q4, and coming off of that, a trend that we see here now is that everybody wants to be focused on developing the habit of consistency to achieving that. So for you guys right now, for what you're not being consistent with, areas that you want to be more consistent in, what are some excuses or things that pop up in your head to make you not do that thing or to tell yourself not to do that thing? Where are you feeling resistance in the process? Let's say, for example, you want to start new conversations, you're in the process of growing your audience, but just the thought of sparking new conversations makes you sick. Every time you go to do it, you don't do it. Or let's say you want to really focus on developing your ability to offer calls. And every time you get to that point in the conversation, you get anxious on when to ask or how to ask, and you don't do it. Fear of the unknown. It's funny. It's interesting to see. So we have it. Let's get to the bottom of this further. So Eric had mentioned fear of the unknown. James had mentioned fear of the known, fear of what's coming, fear of what he thinks will come, fear of the known. They know what's coming. Throw more at me. What else we got? I'm not confident about what doing messenger, and it takes forever to come up with 3 lines to say in order to be confident in the right direction. Bear with me. Here's the punchline. So if you guys had to say, we'll just put these first two buckets first. For you personally, which do you feel it is more so in your sales process, conversation process? You you're worried about what they may say, if they will reject you, if they will say no, if they will say you're crazy, you don't know what you're talking about, or is it more so in our heads? We know we're thinking they're going to say that, and we're stopping ourselves from doing it because we know that's going to be said. This we're afraid of what's going to be said. This we're just counting ourselves out and almost saying like, man, I know it's coming. They're going to see this. Brains are a weird thing. Our minds are. It's so true. They're going to fight like hell for us not to do these things. It's a good point, Anna, in terms of it being a more opinionated person. I don't think that it can be a very good thing and also a bad thing in Messenger if you're jumping the gun too soon. So I think if we're going into hearing some more from that person about their business and we jump into straight our opinion, what they think they should do, that can make them feel rubbed the wrong way. But if we ask them for permission to share what we feel is in their best interest based on our experience, that's different. So I think just that frame alone, this comes from conversations, content. whenever we're talking to people in our audience or prospects in Messenger, to me, it's really important to draw the line of knowing the difference between telling people you have to do this, you need to do that, you should do this, you should do that, versus based on my experience, I found this to be helpful. Based on my experience, I found this to work well and this not to work well. Completely different. Now this person doesn't feel like they're being forced to do something that they don't want to do. You're just being honest and authentic in terms of sharing what you've done yourself. 100%, Darren. It really is like it's honestly it's a key to even getting them to absorb what you're saying. To me, like if anybody comes into offering their insight before I accept or want to hear it, like it's almost just like everything that's being said gets diluted. Like we're not attentive towards it, we're not open to it, we're closed off to it. But if you asked first, hey, do you mind if I share my honest opinion or my take on what may be helpful to you based on my experience? And they say yes, now they want to hear more. They're showing you they want to hear more, they're showing you they're open to it, and they're going to absorb it much differently. It's a great approach to take in terms of getting them to come to you. I think this now comes back to what James is mentioning too, the fear of losing the groundwork done, losing the trust that's been built. James, let's talk about an example of this. So let's say you've had somebody that's followed your stuff for a couple months now. You're putting out some really good content. They enjoy it. You guys are driving in a conversation, going back and forth. You feel like there's some trust built in the conversation, and you want to get to the point where you're either offering the call to chat with them further about how you can help, putting out the offer, etc. In your mind at that point, is the worry around if I ask this question or if I ask to hop on a call with me, they'll run away?
Kind of. I guess it's they 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 basically kind of think that that's sort of the whole idea behind posts and the conversation, and then it's inevitable that it will come.
Say that one more time for me.
So it's that they feel that it's inevitable that the questions such as asking them about their problems, for example, that it's gonna that's sort of the whole idea behind it. That makes sense.
So you're saying when you're to clarify further, when you're asking them about their problems, what happens then? Or
Generally, I don't actually ask that. They sort of come and give that information from like a post or whatever, or from a long form or a short form post.
So they're coming from your content to your inbox, maybe sharing their thoughts on what you shared, as well as like what's going on with them.
Yeah. And like for example, if someone's got a problem with like converting leads, for example, they don't really want to. I don't seem to want to open up much more than that.
So they share with you they're having difficulty converting leads into sales.
For example, yeah.
What usually like for you? What's your next step from there typically?
We'll try and get them on a call, basically, a 15-minute call to go deeper into their problem. But that's kind of a big hurdle, actually getting the call booked.
So let's paint the picture of what happens at this point. They share this block with you. They're struggling to convert leads into sales. Sounds like you're leaning into offering a call from here. Or what are you leaning into next? Where they kind of come and either say, no, I'm not going to hop on a call, or the conversation kind of comes to a halt.
Kind of just goes cold, and then they come back a few days later saying, oh, sorry, I realised I didn't answer, I didn't get back to you straight away. And then I'll say, no, that's cool. How's it going with the lead conversion? And then they sort of go into like just rapport stuff. How's your weekend been? For example, this one I'm talking about, the Queen had just died, so she started talking about that. And then that conversation kind of went on, and it didn't really feel right to start talking about booking a call about her lead conversion. But then I
So
actually
something's
messaged her.
happening. Something's happening here that I want to drill in on further. Because if
Okay.
you go from them sharing this block to you offering the call, and they reply back something about the queen or whatever it may be, like there's something there that's pulling it that way.
That was like it was like a week after, like, or like I say, it went cold after that offer, and then she like replied saying, "Oh yeah, sorry, I haven't been in contact. Um, Bad news about the Queen." That's literally how it went, and then we just chatted to that for that about the Queen and all the stuff going on at that time, and then yeah, then just didn't chat for a while, and then I actually messaged her today and said, asked her about lead generation, how's it going? And she said, "Oh yeah, I've just started a new course." So I was like, okay.
So what does that tell you going
Um,
forward in this area when this happens again? When you get somebody that shares this block with you, what's one thing you want to focus on doing better than what you did in this last instance?
I guess chase them up sooner.
Yep, we don't want them to go cold. We don't want them to go from us maybe leaning towards next steps with this and then them not replying and then us waiting a week and then circling back because now it's kind of regaining all that traction that we just had built the week before. The other thing is perhaps this is being asked just a little bit early. And this is like we saw someone in Messenger mention temperature check or in the Zoom chat here. If this block was shared, just like we were talking on, the next step, if we're looking at the conversation, we say, hey, this person's followed us for time. They consume a lot of our stuff. They're openly sharing information with us. They're open to our help. Then we can go for the call offering. But
Yeah,
perhaps this person's just consumed your stuff. They've briefly shared a problem that they're facing, but they haven't really shown you much that they're open to your help with that.
yeah.
So if
She
we're
was.
one, you go ahead.
Oh yeah, no. So I'm just saying, no. She was warm in my eyes. Been with about 6 weeks contact, chit chatting and stuff.
Okay.
And then yeah,
So 6 weeks chit chat back and forth. She shared this problem with you.
from a post, yeah, from one of my
Was,
posts.
was she showing you? Was she asking you like, hey, what would you do? How would you like? What would you recommend to fix this? Like questions around basically being open to your help and guidance.
I think it was. I can't remember exactly. It was a short form about want to know how to convert more leads, something like that.
So
Then
she reached
she
out outside.
then she reached out, yeah. Or she hearted it, I think, and then yeah. I didn't have a call to action. She put a heart, I think.
So point I want to make with this: if somebody reveals that first block or challenge to you, we could go straight into offering a call. We want to make sure those three buckets are fulfilled. And one of the best things that we can do is go deeper with what they're sharing. Like if we can show that person that we actually want to get to the bottom of why this is happening, they're going to be a lot more prone to want to hop on a call to actually solve that block itself. But if they go from sharing the block to, hey, let's chat in a call to talk about a solution, some people may say yes and hop on the call, but some people might say, this guy's just trying to sell me or he just wants to get me on the phone. But if we show genuine interest and just ask them next, okay, it's good to know. Do you mind sharing a bit more what your current process looks like generating a lead to converting a sale? This is a question that's showing us, number one, we care to go deeper. We want to get to the bottom of this. Number two, we know what we're talking about here. We want them to, we know in order for us to give any guidance at all, we have to first get an understanding of what they're doing. So from here, they could come back to us and they could say, honestly, don't have a process. They could say, I'm doing cold DMs, and offering calls, trying to convert on the phone. What else could they say?
Have a process.
I think she said this time she was saying I've just started a new course. I'm just going through my new course or something. Let me see if I can find the conversation.
But we can still call them out because that's not a relevant answer towards this. If we said,
No, sure.
what's your current process look like? And they say, I'm going through a course. That usually means they don't have a process.
I don't have an app.
Could say messenger. You're already a messenger. Messenger.
Maybe a mix of things, like I do messenger and I do follow up with the messages also, something like that.
Okay. So once they've shared a step, one level deeper with us in terms of what the process is for them that's causing this block. So they know they're blocked in converting leads into sales. We just asked them what that current process looks like. They stated it, or they said they don't have it. What else could we ask from here? Again, we want to constantly be looking into conversation, seeing how they're sharing it with us. So maybe they say, you know what, actually, I don't have a process. I'd love to hear more about what your process is. That's a green light for us to say straight call offer. They want to hear more about how we can help. They're interested in our opinion and our thought process behind what's going on. Let's go for the call. If they haven't yet shown us that yet, we can go a little bit deeper. We can say, okay, you're using cold DMs and offering calls, trying to get them to convert in the phone. How many calls are you booking a month? It's good to know. I'd say good to know the same thing again, but again, we're just taking it one level deeper. How many calls are you currently booking a month? Then they come back and say, actually, only like one call a week. So now they know one reason that they're not converting leads into sales is because they don't know how to get people onto the phone and get calls booked. So we can wrap our solution, our potential solution to their problem around this. Thanks for sharing that. You do two things. Are you open to insight? Or you go straight into offering. Based on what you said, here, I'll review these. Few options. So again, with this right here, what we're doing is we're framing what they share with us. Based on what you said about struggling to convert leads into sales and only booking one call per week, I have some thoughts on my experience that may be helpful to you in getting to the bottom of why this is happening. Are you open to setting up a call to go deeper on things and see if we can't get a solution in place? Or are you open to setting up a call to go deeper on things? Super relevant offer directly towards exactly what they share with you that they're struggling with, as well as creating curiosity around what can be solved and how that can change for them if resolved itself. And what's the worst case scenario that can come from this? To me, if you look at this message, does this feel like pushy? If I'm messaging you and you came to me and you said this, you said, I'm struggling to convert leads into sales. I came back to you and said, do you mind sharing with me what your current process looks like? You share with me what you're doing. I asked you one more question about it. And then I came to you and asked if you wanted to hop on a call with this said. Would you feel like, man, Blake's pushy, he just wants to take my money? Would you feel like, man, Blake actually wants to help me get to the bottom of what's going on here?
Yeah, he just looks like you want to help, obviously.
Exactly. And what's the worst thing that can happen from this question, the conversation? Maybe he says, no, I'm not, I'd love to. Unfortunately, right now, I don't think it's the best time. Just join the program. no big deal. At least you know, and you now can put your energy in following up with them in 2 months when they said they're open to exploring the option again. This way, you're not continuing to waste your time or energy following up, small talk, etc. You have a clear line of yes or no. I'm open to it. I'm not. And you can also, if they're not open to it, you can say no worries. Is this something you would like to chat on again in the future? They may come back and say, yeah, it's great. I'd love to revisit this once I'm finished with this program. Do you mind giving me some insight on when you're planning to finish that, just so I can mark on my end to come back to you to pick up this conversation? And you can be straight up and even ask for the date. In the meantime, you could think about trickling them some free value. Maybe you go live in your group or drop a video in your group that's relevant to them. You can give that to them in the meantime to continue to nurture them until they are ready. But the point is, by us simply getting to this point in the conversation where we're drawing a line in the sand, we're helping ourselves not only distribute our energy better, but we're also making it so we can clearly see, hey, is this person open to working with us or are they not? Okay, either way, if it's a no or a yes, but we want to at least give ourselves that information so we aren't wasting our time. Looks like this is resonating and helpful with a few of you here for the chat in the conversation. Everybody else watching, does this make sense? Any questions on this that I can answer? The more that we can wrap our invitations around the thing that they're sharing and create curiosity around it, the better off we are. Sometimes that requires us to go 1 to 2 levels deeper in what they share. Oftentimes, many people in Messenger get told, man, I'm struggling to convert leads and sales. I'm struggling to get traffic. I'm struggling to close high ticket sales, etc. And then we get excited and go straight into, you want to find out more about how I can help. But if we slow down and ask 2 questions about what they're doing, we're already differentiating ourselves from all the other people in their inbox going straight into, hey, let's hop on a call. First showing some more care and insight, then offering a call. Completely framed differently for them. What to do when people stop replying midway through the qualification process? Stop. So not always will we be able to get through the whole qualification process, I guess you'd say, in Messenger. Again, remember that a few options that we can do. If we're in Messenger, we can ask, let's say qualification could be around goal, challenge, current income, willing to invest, etc. I put these in an order for a reason. This reason being, if we look at these, let's just say, actually I don't need to put a number next to them, but this is listed in the least intrusive question to the more intrusive question. This question is much more likely to be answered by the majority of people you're speaking to, whereas this question, getting to this point, every one of these questions you ask, you're going to probably see some more drop off along the way. The people that trust you will maybe share all of these. The people that are a little unsure may share challenge and then stop at this. Okay. So this is no different than even on content. If we look at content as well, when we're wrapping up a call to action, here and compare the two. Difference between a micro commitment and a macro. A micro commitment or a small ask. Again, when at the first part of the funnel, we're using content to help drive conversations and to help drive interest for what we're selling. So to get someone to show interest, to attract their attention, to get them to raise their hand or to reach out to you, etc. If we're going to see greater volume of this when we're doing micro commitments because it's a smaller ask. So it could be comment below for the free thing. Comment X below for the training. These are very small asks, really easy for someone to say, yeah, I want this, me, comment me below. Macro commitment is going to be like, reach out to me if you want to join this thing. Comment X below if you want to find out more about my coaching program. Larger asks, larger commitments, less volume and less people coming through them. Same goes with this messenger stuff. The deeper we go, the more drop off we'll see. So we want to go into this knowing that if we try to get all of this information in the conversation, we're going to probably see some drop. I think the more that we can set our expectation around that, the better. But two things that we want to focus on incorporating in this to help get through these. Number one could be follow-up. Are they simply reading the message about me asking about the challenge and then getting busy and not coming back? Have I actually made effort to follow up with them and say, hey, saw you missed this, just nudging it back up? Or even more subtly, you could just engage with their content. You noticed they didn't reply to you yesterday. You come back to their post today, drop a comment with a genuine comment on it, and now they think of you and they think, Anna just commented on my post. I forgot to get back to her. It's a very small way or a micro way to get them to come back in a very genuine approach. So let's say you know that, or let's say Anna knows that she ideally likes to help affiliates that are working to get to 5K months that are struggling with generating leads. She ideally would like to know how much if they're willing to invest, how much they're currently making, because she knows this all helps her understand if this person's actually qualified to chat and call further. But if she knows these first two things, and she knows this person has a problem that needs to be solved, it's stopping them from getting to their goal, and they're trusting in the fact that we may be able to help, we have the right to we don't have to ask these next two questions. We can go straight from this to presenting the offer like we just illustrated and pushing to Calendly application. So it could literally be going to Calendly page, booking page, application questions. These application questions become our filter, and they also allow us to not have to worry about getting through all of these in Messenger. We get to the point where we have those beliefs crossed in the conversation. We offer the call. We get them this link to fill in the application questions and book a call. If they complete these questions and they say, I'm not willing to invest, or I'm not open to coaching, we know it's not in our best interest to take the call. That's one route to filter and shorten up the conversation. The other route that we teach here is basically going from this is going to a one call. The other simple route would be just taking it from this point in the conversation. Again, once the two beliefs are crossed, we go to two call. So we go to a 15-minute call with the goal on this 15-minute call of getting insight on these qualification questions, what they're currently making, if they're willing to invest, etc., so we can know if they're a fit for the next 30-minute call. Does that make sense in terms of helping reduce drop off with this? Anna, for you right now, are you going towards booking 15-minute calls to start? I think she might froze up. Anna, can you hear me? She's exactly right.
Yeah, she looks frozen.
She definitely froze up.
Yeah, she was having a little bit of issue yesterday, but she should pop. It looks like she popped out. I think she'll pop back in here in a minute.
Cool. Anybody else noticing the same thing that Anna shared, where maybe some like you feel like you're making some ground in terms of getting close to that call offering, but maybe you're asking these questions and you get kind of hit a wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's most definitely it.
It's kind of a daily thing.
So what's the end goal for you guys that are dealing with that? Like what's the next step? Is it a 15-minute call that you're working to get to?
Most of the time, oh, sorry, Joy.
Who wants to share more? What's the end goal? When you're in this conversation, you get inside their goal, they share with you their challenge. Maybe you're trying to go deeper in qualification, you're getting blocked. What are you ultimately trying to get to? A 15-minute call, is that the next step? What is the next step?
The 15-minute call, most definitely.
So if the 15-minute call is the goal, we have a messenger combo. $15-minute call booked. That's our goal when we go into messenger every time. We can book one 15-minute call, two 15-minute calls, we win. What is the point of this call?
Listen to the customer, see exactly where he has a challenge, and give him an opportunity to discuss and go deeper in a next call.
Bingo. And also used for qualification on our end.
Right.
This is why you see many like large people out there that have large sales. A lot of times you'll be messing with those guys in Messenger and they'll say, let's hop in a call. We're not here to sell anything. We're just here to see what you need and what's going to be helpful to you. This is because they're planning to go towards this 15-minute call to further qualify them and to see if they're a fit for the next step. This allows them to have shorter conversations, obtain less information in the combo, move towards a call sooner, get the call booked, and then let this be the filter of who gets to be on this call. This is exactly what I began with. This is exactly why I teach this now. And for me, first it started with messenger combo with the goal of getting a 15-minute call booked, moving to 30. And then eventually we developed just straight to messenger combo with the goal of application completed and 30-minute qualified call booked. Either way, this piece right here is the filter, this red piece. This is what's filtering the people coming into these longer calls. So we're putting our time and energy with people that are actually open to hearing more about how we can help. At the start, it's okay if we're taking calls with some unqualified people because we're getting reps in, we're getting practice in, and that's encouraged. But as we continue to grow, as we get comfortable offering calls and we're getting more booked, this is where we really want to ask ourselves, like, how can we make sure that the energy that we're putting into these calls is spent with the best opportunities possible? And we can do this in two ways. We can either filter them out in the 15, we can filter it out with an application, or if we really wanted to, we could go messenger, all qualification in messenger, and then go to a call. But the reason we don't recommend this inside 6FA is because this is a recipe for drop off. The deeper we go in messenger, the more distant the conversation becomes. The more confusion that can take place, the more they can hear you incorrectly. Just like when you're texting any friend, it's so easy for you to send a message on Messenger or text and for that to be perceived completely different than what you meant it just by the way the person read it and the energy they read it with them. This is why our goal is to use Messenger as simply a bridge to get people off of Facebook onto the phone and to try to keep these conversations as short as we can. I would 100% agree, Darren. They definitely should. If you guys are looking back at your conversations and you're seeing much larger text from you and much shorter replies from them, that's a surefire signal of, hey, they're not, the trust isn't fully here yet, or we're talking too much. Same goes with calls. If we're talking and talking and talking, and we're talking more than them on the phone, we're not doing our job. The best thing that we can do is listen and show that we're actively listening, and ask questions about what we're listening about itself. That's what helps create more sales. The more that we push, inject, share before we actually hear them out, the more that that person on the other end of the phone or the messenger conversation isn't going to feel heard, and they're going to feel like they're being taken somewhere. No, go ahead. 45-minute calls is not, that's okay. So you'll have some sales calls that go to that length as well. And I think, like you mentioned, probably offering too much information and dazing the caller. I think for you, like with you being in the beginning stages of calls, the reason you were giving more value and doing longer calls is for two things. It was number one, to build up those people that are taking those calls with you, to build trust with them. So perhaps they're open to working with you at a higher level. And number two, for you to practice giving value, coaching, helping, so you can in turn build confidence in yourself and your abilities to help others to offer more calls and to help more people.
Sounds correct. Yeah. Perfect.
So I think with that said, to simplify it, if that's the goal, that's different than, let's say, Alan, who's already broke past that stage, who's already comfortable and confident in Messenger, who's already booking calls consistently. Like his mission is to not just give value on the call. His mission is to get people onto the phone so he can present his offer. And that's okay. This just goes to show, like, depending on where we're at with our business and our skills, we're all at different phases. We're all within different micro goals of what we're working towards. For you, the goal is less about sales, more about practice, reps, and kind of developing that skill and that confidence in ourselves.
Yep.
To help make that a little, to make that more effective, one thing that you could do is take the call and either ask them one question of, if we tackled one thing on this call today, what would be most beneficial to you? Or you can start the call with them and say, if we tackle thing in this call today, end of the call that we talk on, or that we clarify. They're going to come to you with the problem that they see. You go deeper on that problem, ask questions, and then you can start to offer some insight on some tips to help them. I think it's when the calls go all over the map and we're focused on trying to fix 6 problems at once. That's when they become more distant, more confused, and it almost becomes more of a overwhelm on your end.
I think that's what I've been. Yeah, that's what I've been doing wrong. Thank you for mentioning that, because I've been going all over the place trying to help with too many things, and yeah, it's there's a trend about all the people that I'm speaking with, that I've spoken with so far. They all have the same thing, the same that I can comment on, and then I go too deep about it. But yeah, thank you. That was very valuable that you just mentioned there.
What's the trend that you've been seeing?
Well, in what I'm doing, all the people, their profiles are all look terrible. They've got CVs for a profile. Um, they don't have they don't have proper images. Uh, they they don't have a description. So on their profiles, so they're not exhibiting their what they have to offer to the market.
Okay.
I think
Any other trends that you've been noticing within your market? This is an important topic too. With anybody that's having conversations, the more we can pull out trends, the more we can make super powerful offers that match these trends.
and that's actually the one thing that I'm looking to when I'm connecting to people, or trying when I'm starting with people. I always look at their profiles, and I see there are one or two exceptions that that their profiles look like they look the part, and the others, most of them, 95 out of 100 have um, chaotic profiles. I would say they have it's it's everything that I when I'm the call I show them a way that they can make it more presentable, and then I go, then that's where I should have stopped, but then I go too much into detail and want to try to help too much, um, and I think
Okay,
that's where people get confused.
that makes sense. So I'm going to tackle this from two different lenses for everybody on this call, being in different stages. Number one, what Grove just mentioned was he saw trends in part of the process that he does of friend adding. So this benefits in two ways. Let's say this process is around friend adding as we have listed here. As Grove continues to grow, let's say he wants to bring on an assistant to help do friend adding for him and to take this off his plate. He now has a set list of procedures within this process that he can have somebody follow to add that friend. He knows that, hey, every person that we want to be adding has this looking of their branding. You can show a picture of inconsistent branding. You could show a picture of chaotic profile, and maybe they are a real estate agent. All things that are now making it easier for Grove to add friends because he's just looking to tick off these boxes. And if they tick these boxes, he knows they're probably a decent fit for his audience. Taking it a level deeper from that down the line, the next thing is the benefits of having conversations is we're learning more about our audience and how we can help these people, as well as what problems they're facing. So you've seen visually that these people don't have profiles that are on point. They're not using maybe organic Facebook correctly. What problems have they shared with you that they're dealing with?
Well, the leads, finding leads, buyer and seller leads. That is, um, but that is the whole thing. That is the thing that I would like to help them with. Part of my that's my offer. I think that I would like to get people into with is to help them with that.
Yep. And this is something I know you mentioned early on as well, but now this is being solidified through your conversations because you're seeing, hey, like this is a legit problem that's coming to the surface on like the majority of these people that I'm talking to.
Yes, I'm in a very, my big challenge, or the skill that I needed was to is to learn to ask the right questions, the correct questions, is to drill to find the real pain. And I've only recently got to that part. So I've only had one or two people that I've so far that I've had on a call where I could ask them the what is drill down a bit more onto in their pain. And I've had a lot of calls in the past, but now I've changed a bit my way. Um, I want to say, and just had a lot. I've only had, I think, 2 calls in the last 2 weeks. I used to have a
What
lot.
is your change?
Yeah, and people. There was a couple of no-shows, of course, as well. Most of the people, because
Okay.
I didn't have a proper way to confirm the calls. So I think that is something that I work on fixing, or that I have to get right.
A
Um,
proper way to what?
to confirm the calls, get people. Uh, it may be something to do with my messaging as well. The wording I'm using, the way that I'm approaching people. So what I'm doing at the moment, my process at the moment is I'm on LinkedIn, and then uh, I'm using Wallaxy to send out just a
The
connection
connection
message. Yeah,
request?
yeah, connection request. And then I look at people. Then I use the Sales Navigator to look at people who viewed my profile, and then I message those
Yep.
people. If they didn't connect with me, or they didn't accept, I message the people, and I just have a standard words that I'm using. I go and look at their profile, and before I message them, I say, I've noticed something on their profile, and I think they can need help. Would would you object to getting on a call with me? And then I just wait
I'm gonna
for.
pause you there.
Yep.
So on the offering of a call, is that coming on the second message?
That is, yes, that's on the second message. So they usually, when they've accepted my call, my connection request, and on the second message I'm offering them to just getting on because I'm on a case study, the free case study um, that I'm currently on, just to get and the words that I'm using. I'm trying to get the people to give to offer them a value in exchange for a testimonial.
Okay. So I think just talking through this a little bit, we're actually in the, like, we recently launched a campaign using a similar tool than Galaxy recently to supplement traffic on our end, and we're testing LinkedIn as well. And one thing that we're doing is connection request. We're doing one outreach here, one outreach message, delay, and then one more message sent here. Now, the message that we're sending, which this may be something that I think you should consider for you, is on the first connect after request is accepted on the first outreach, I wouldn't be going straight to a call offering straight away. I think
Actually,
one thing to consider could
pardon me for interrupting. Actually,
second message, right?
yeah, that's what I'm actually doing. Is I'm sending a message with Walaxy. First message, hello, something, and then second one is something. Oh, did you miss my first message? Um, and then if they respond to my second message, or they accept with my second message, then I'm go for the third message. Thank you for responding, and I look at your profile and getting on a call with me, trying to get them on a call with me.
Okay. So that works. Like that's we can play the volume game and do that where we just literally are hitting numbers, reaching out to as many people to offer call as we can. But as a result of that, we're going to see lower response, more drop on calls, and less people showing up because there's nothing nothing built up before that to make them like really keen to show up to the call.
That's exactly what's
If that,
happening.
exactly. Like if we came back up to this example here, where like let's say they share with you that they are coming back up here. Let's say they said they are struggling to generate buyer leads for their real estate business, and you asked them about what their current process is like to generate leads for that business. They shared more. You went deeper on that, and then offered the call. That's the perception is completely different than just them saying, "Yes, I'm struggling with this. Hey, let's chat in a call." So I think when it comes to people at the top of the funnel, the cold people, these are all cold starting out with this connection request. Perhaps the first message is message one, introduce yourself and ask a question. This is what we've been testing for LinkedIn specifically. It differs a little bit from Facebook, different platform, but I would say you could basically just say, hey, my name is Grove. I've been in the real estate industry for over X amount of years now. As I've continued to develop in the industry, one thing that I've realized is the one piece that really holds agents back from ever achieving the success they want is lack of buyer and seller leads. I work with real estate agents and helping them resolve that. And I saw that you were an agent itself. I wanted to connect with you to hear a little bit more about what you do and where you work. Then after that message is sent, if no reply, delay. Since they haven't replied, the next step would be a more subtle, again, coming back to what we talked about above, where it's the micro and macro commitments. If we came into a call offering here, we're asking for a larger commitment from them. Even though it's free, even though we're giving it for free, it's taking up their time. We're asking them to give us their time. But if we came back here on the delay and say, hey, I didn't hear back from you before, but I just wanted to follow up and let you know that I do run a YouTube channel all about this topic. I have a bunch of valuable videos here. If you want to check it out, here's the link to check it out.
That sounds a bit. Thank you. That is a lot more effective. I think not exactly. Very good.
Yeah, and the goal with this isn't to get the call offered or to get them to commit to that larger step. It's to get them to take one smaller step into your ecosystem. So this could be to go watch a YouTube video. This could be to go join your Facebook group. One small step so they can start seeing the value that you give, as well as making it easier for you to continue to develop that relationship and get it to a call.
Copy. That
And when it
makes
comes to the people that
makes
are
sense. Thank you.
interested too, as well, that are showing like they're keen to get this solved. They share with you they have a problem with generating buyer and seller leads. Since you're seeing this trend, perhaps you make a little mini offer coming into this month around this, where you're working with 3 real estate agents struggling to generate consistent buyer seller leads.
Because I think
And offer
because I think I'm having a feeling that my offer is I'm not confident of my offer anymore, or what I had in mind to do.
well, why would you say that is?
Um, I I probably because I felt it was too easy. I mean, it's but it's probably a mindset thing where I'm doing the profile thing, looking at, and then I'm thinking, just but this is so easy. But then and I just wonder how can
What's easy?
um to make the profile, to dress up the profile correctly, to fill it with content. But then I'm thinking on the other way, it is I didn't know that before until somebody showed it to me, and that is I'm probably, what's the word? I feel almost guilty asking people if I've got this thing, um, to ask people money for it. That's um, I yeah, I almost feel guilty about asking people money for money. But then it's once again it's something that I didn't know before until I paid somebody to learn it.
So if you know you didn't know before until you paid someone to learn it, and you know that you're putting your own time and energy into helping them solve this thing and get that in place, do you feel that that's something that can be charged for?
Yes, I think so. I think
Those two boxes tick.
yeah, I think and especially I would like people to get results by taking action, by doing the thing that I've offered, or by executing on my offer, that they should be getting results for that, by doing it, the offer.
And I would say, especially on these free calls too, like the goal is if you can make the promise to help them on one thing, let's say it's profile optimization. So these people are struggling with buyer and seller leads. You know they're lacking a strong branded profile, and basically what you've been trying to focus on in these calls is helping them with that. So profile and branding optimization. To give you some perspective, you could take someone that just turned on a Facebook account today, brand new to Facebook organic. You could have a call with them. You could sit down and you could design their whole cover. You could put their bio in place, get their whole profile set up. But what problem will they run into after that?
They will probably not know how to make content, produce content. That is,
Bing.
and I had a look at I liked your Canva video. It was a very good uh, lead, a good idea of what to. It was a good value to what I was thinking about what
Spot
you were
on with this
speaking about.
topic.
Yeah, spot on with this topic. Yes.
Yeah, 100%. That honestly, man, use that. Reverse engineer it. Use that for inspiration for your own content, because I think that's definitely something that would fit this too. And I think also remind yourself that like if as you're helping solve this one specific problem, where you can show them, hey, I'm opening up 5 spots this month to work with you closely for an hour in a call to help you get your profile in place and ready to attract leads. That could be the promise. You go and work with them on the call, give them free value, help them get their cover, everything in place. but now it's opening up new problems. So what you could do is give them one action step to help them get a quick win. You just help them get this cover in place. Now maybe you guide them to first post. Similar like what you did with your case study approach, and you saw some people coming in off that. You saw the power of what we teach here pretty quickly by you taking and implementing that one thing, which made you more excited to continue to take action. Same with them. Think about how you can take them from not having a profile set up to you over delivering, setting this up and saying, okay, from here, I want to start helping show you how you can start putting this into motion. So the next action step I'd like to see you do is put up a post similar to this structure and test this out. You may get good response, you may not, but I'd love to see you start putting this into motion right away. They put the post out, they get 3 people that come in off of it. They're going to come back to you and say, man, Grove, you knew right away that this was going to work. I just had 3 new leads come in, and now they're going to be excited to hear more about how they can work with you to multiply that.
Excellent. That's very valuable. Thank you. Thank you, Blake.
No problem, man. That's all we really want to do with content as well, is make things as simple as possible without getting too deep in the weeds, and more so make it so that people can create some quick wins. Doesn't have to be massive sales, but the more the wins that we can help people in our audience create just off our free stuff, the more they're going to be excited to pay us for our paid stuff.
I just I'm not this is something that's in my head is that I'm getting sort of or in my mind that one can offer a lot of free stuff. Say for example 80% or whatever 80% of what you have, 90% is what you have, and you just give about 10%, but for that 10%, so you've for the 10% people's got to they pay you. They've got such a lot of value that they would be willing to pay for the 10%. So if I just call it, if you have a liter of water and you got you need 10 milliliters to make it full. You still don't have you short 10 milliliters. You still not, it's not full yet.
You completed one piece of the puzzle.
Yep.
It's similar. I even look at you. We talked on this before too with you, man. Like joining 6FA. You came across my YouTube channel. You consumed some content. You watched a video on how I set up the group automations app. That blew you away because the level of value that I shared for free for you in your journey, you realize, man, I paid X amount for this video 2 years ago.
Exactly.
And that made you want to find out more about, man, what's inside Blake's paid stuff? What's inside his coaching program? All because I helped give you a win through a piece of free content that I went out and gave freely.
Exactly. Yep.
And that's what we want to duplicate.
Very valuable. Very valuable. Thank you, Blake.
No problem, man. I think a big thing that's, at least for me early on as well, this was a sticking point for me. It's like, how can I create value at my level early on to get people wins in comparison to the big dogs out there in the space, the gurus that are already out there? And I think this is where we really want to think about the fact that, like, exactly like what Grove is in a position right now, where these people could go watch a YouTube video from some 7-figure guru on how to set up their Facebook profile. But if they were hearing it from Grove, who's once dealt with struggling to generate leads as a real estate seller, who now figured this out with Facebook and is now actively just figured out how to set up the profile, how to get everything in place. He's been in the weeds right now doing this thing, and he's closer to where they're at in their journey. Those people are going to relate to Grove a lot more than the 7-figure guy that's way up there already.
And just
tap into that.
Just listening to what you're saying is all content that can be all video content or written content that can be reproduced again.
100%. You know these people better than even the gurus do at that level. You know what's going through their head of them setting up the profile, what they're worried about, and that in turn can make you create much deeper connection with them, as well as relate to them much more than anybody else. That gives you competitive advantage. And by you giving the hour-long or 45-minute session to help them get their cover in place, nobody out there at a guru level can do that. They can't afford to do that. So you're going to blow them away when you do that. And if we can strategically turn that into a win and an opportunity afterwards, they're going to be sold because you took the time out of your day to give to them.
Cool, thank you.
So this month, Grove, I want to challenge you with you've been focused on giving value on a one-to-one level and getting comfortable with that and getting confident with that. Continue to do that going into this month, but work to start branching into doing that on a one-to-many level. More with YouTube, more with Facebook. And this month, start to work to get back to getting some calls booked and taking those calls, but also working to get to some calls that aren't just free value, where you're actually helping and providing offers in those calls and invitations to work with you.
I started recording some a video or two about just about walking here in the bush and just talking about something that personal experience, and so that I'm posting that to show more of a human side, um, real to relate to people. See, this is a real person, wife, family, kids, that kind of thing.
Yep. Just like you mentioned to me when you joined us, and how that was a big thing that stood out to you with what I was doing.
Yep.
100%. And even taking it to the level of you putting out, like, I know you mentioned when you're putting out content on YouTube, at first you were taught by your previous mentor to just produce and that people will come to you. Perhaps that led you to feeling like, man, like, I'm putting all this time into my content. Are people actually making the most of it, or consuming it? Or am I giving away too much value? All of these topics are things that we can talk on in our posts. Stuff
That
that you've
is
experienced.
no, you're hitting the nail on the head there. I'm just thinking you're saying all the right, you're hitting all the right points there about am I giving too much value? Because it's just I'm always I have to, it's reverse engineering what you're mentioning, reverse engineering, thinking back about what I didn't know previously and that I know now, and then I have to step back. It's like when probably a person is flying a plane or whatever, driving, you can't even remember how you didn't know it, how didn't you know how to drive a car.
So true. And
Reverse.
when we're moving fast and growing fast, it's so easy for us to lose sight of it.
Yeah.
This is why exercise, like even today at the start of the call, just looking back at the past 3 months and seeing like the fact that you went from not taking any calls to booking your first 10, that's something that you can talk on that many people have not accomplished yet. So think about this, everybody here today going into Q4. Think about growth that was made over these last 3 months. Think about how you became better in business and as a person today than what you were 3 months ago, and how you could share some lessons or some insight on that growth for people that are 3 months before you, 6 months before you.
Now yeah, it's just, to me it's incredible to what I've learned so far, and the um, skills development. It's loving it. It's excellent. I've used some of what some of the what I've learned here in my agricultural estate agent business, and I got I got a couple of more video views, and yeah, it's worked there as well. So yeah, it's good for more content.
Just keep developing the skills. Keep it up, man. You're growing. And related to that as well, I know I previously mentioned this at the end of the last call, as we wrap up today's call here today. I talked last month about how at the end of this month, we're rolling into an opportunity for all active 6FA members to invite 1 to 2 folks that they feel is a fit for 6FA, or that want to hear more about 6FA, to join them as a buddy for the week in the program to experience the service that we provide, the value that we provide here. I'm going to be officially releasing a form this month, in the next week, as well as official final details, but this is set to kick off on the 31st, which is going to be the last Monday of this month, Monday through Friday. And I wanted to give you guys, with me moving in this week and not getting out before, I want to give you guys a month to start. For those that want to participate in it, reach out to folks, get your invites out to them, and get that in motion. So for anybody that would like to participate in that, let me know in the chat. Just say, just drop an invite. or I'm in, one of the two things, just so I know, and then I can reach out from there with details. But essentially, we're going to be letting a small select number of folks join in on these Zoom calls for 1 week, listen in, experience, see what the program's all about, and then if anybody happens to join the program from your referral of that, you would be getting the commission for that as well.
Cool. Thank you. Awesome.
Sweet. Some cool stuff coming here in Q4 on our end, and I look forward to seeing some cool stuff come from you guys. Remember, as we wrap up today, actually, honestly, it's going to be right on Halloween, so that may be in the mix, Anna. I think it may be a Halloween offer. But as we wrap up today, I want to challenge those of you here on this call that took the time to participate, stay till the end. Come in and share inside the KPI thread today so I can give your KPI tracker review. And if you haven't filled in your data, put in the best data that you can based on your estimates, and let's make a commitment going forward in making that habit take place this month. It's annoying to do, but it takes 5 minutes a day, and I promise you it makes a big difference. Those that have tracked the last month and share with me here and here, you all just start to see the impact that has. But Alan's a great example alone of somebody that tracked religiously for his first 4 months in here and saw a lot of growth because of it. All right, guys. Really good stuff today. Really good conversation. As always, the replay will be available inside the events tab for those that want to come back to it. But like Grove mentioned as well, reverse engineer what we're talking on here. Go deeper with it. And go deeper with yourself going into this final quarter to make sure that you're actually reflecting on growth that was made this past quarter itself, lessons that were learned, as well as what the focus is going into this new quarter.
I always hear Anna say with every call, this was the best call, and she always say, with Tommy, with Mike. So I could always say, now it's my chance to say this was the best call. So this was the best call.
Love it. If I can get one of those every call, that means I'm doing my job. So that's awesome to hear.
Cool. Okay. Thank you, Blake. Thank you, Darren.
Thanks
James,
for sharing. Thanks for being open with your
Mike.
questions, and thanks for everyone for being here today.
Thank you.
I know. Yeah.
We'll see you guys. Have a good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Recording stopped.